Joe Biden says it's time to end America's longest war, declares troops will be out of Afghanistan by September 11th. Interesting date to choose to end the war in Afghanistan. Obviously, it was September 11th that got us ultimately into the war in Afghanistan, the sort of the impetus and, well, at least what talked the American people into the war. And, even though Trump said we would get all the troops out by May 1st, Biden is pushing that back to September 11th. So he is making that claim. He's making that promise. My guess is he's going to keep it. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be a lot of people and forces that are going to try to talk him out of it. I'm sure there's going to be elements of the CIA and elements of various different groups, military industrial complex that are going to want Biden to back down from that September 11th withdrawal. But my guess is if he's announcing it and he's giving a hard date, that he is intending on maintaining that promise. That would be my guess. I just don't think that Joe Biden wants to be the guy that comes September 11th or prior to September 11th say, well, I just don't think we can get out of there. Now, that's possible. Warmongers be warmongers, right? So but the way that it would be possible for him to say, you know what, we changed our minds is if there is some sort of an attack. So if there's, a false flag attack, because that would be the thing that would happen. I don't think the Taliban is going to be attacking and risking Americans sticking around. So if there is some sort of an attack where Biden says, oh, no, we need to stick around, that would probably be some sort of false flag attempt to keep us there for some reason. So I would be on the lookout for that, of course. But nonetheless, I think even if there are attacks, look, we've been in attacks in Afghanistan for nearly 20 years, if not 20 years. And so it's time to go. There is no real excuse as to why we're still sticking around. There's always danger when you're putting yourself in someone else's territory and waging war on their lands. There's always a chance they're going to attack. There's always a chance they're going to want to get you out of there. And so hopefully he follows through and he says that he absolutely is going to be truly getting the troops out of Afghanistan on September 11th. So he says, also just kind of looking at this story, says that he formally announced his decision to end the 20-year, largely unsuccessful American effort to remake Afghanistan, declaring on Wednesday that he would withdraw the remaining few thousand U.S. troops in the country by September 11th, saying it's time to end the forever war. Speaking from the treaty room in the White House, the president made the case that the United States had only one real task in the country, ousting al-Qaeda and making sure that the country would never again be launching pad for a terrorist attack on the United States, as it was on September 11th in 2001. War in Afghanistan was never meant to be a multi-generational undertaking, Mr. Biden said. Yeah, right. We were attacked. We went to war with clear goals. We achieved those objectives. Really? Really? This is what he says. He says, oh, we went to war with clear goals. We achieved those objectives. It's time to go. I don't think there were any clear objectives. When you declare war on terror, that's not clear. That's not a clear objective. This is exactly what we're doing and why we're there. It's, well, there's still terror, so we got to stick around because we've declared war on terror. And there's never-ending terror. It just doesn't end because you could declare anybody you want a terrorist. If they're your enemy, suddenly they're a terrorist. It doesn't matter if they're actually terrorizing you or not. They're still a terrorism just by virtue of them being your enemy. They're a terrorist to somebody. Everybody's a terrorist to somebody. The United States is a terrorist to somebody. So saying, we achieved those goals and it was never meant to be a multi-generational undertaking. I don't think any of that's true. I wish he would have said, look, been more truthful about it and said, this was something we declared a war on terror. That's an unattainable goal. It's time for us to realize that and leave. Rather than saying, well, you know what? This is what we meant to do. We did it. And now we're done. So we'll see what that means. Of course, the military industrial complex is not keen to ending a war without starting a new one. So that's a little bit scary. Where are we going to be next? If it's not Afghanistan, where are they going to set their sights? And there's a few options there. We could be putting more of our attention. And this is what's scary, right? And he's upped the military budget. And we know how the military industrial complex works. They're not going to be wanting to back down. So where is the next war going to be? If we're going to be exiting Afghanistan by September 11th, where are we going? Some options: Venezuela, Venezuela is definitely one where we could see maybe some escalations in the narratives against Venezuela and more attempts at regime change there. We could continue and ramp up more in Syria than we have. We've been backing down out of Syria and kind of getting out of there, but maybe he'll want to ramp things up. Of course, there's just wanting to surround China, right? And wanting to get in there and somehow create proxy wars with China. We'll never go to a direct war with China, just like we never went to a direct war with Russia. But what we would do is have a proxy war with China, which we've already seen the beginnings of that. We've seen the beginnings of the rise of extremist terrorist attacks going on in a variety of odd places in Southeast Asia, places like Sri Lanka, Malaysia, Singapore, not Singapore. We've seen them, in India. We've seen them all around in Asia. We've also seen them in Africa, all the way deep south on the continent of Africa, way far away from the Middle East. We've been seeing these terrorist attacks, and all of those attacks seem to be in places where there's ports, and those ports are places where China is attempting to build their Belt and Road. So we're seeing this sort of escalation in this in terrorism, in terrorist attacks, in extremist sort of ideology and uprising, and all of that's happening in areas outside of the Middle East. So I could certainly see a potential shift to those areas to say, well, we've got a problem in Southeast Asia now. We've got a problem in Asia. We've got a problem in Africa, and we've got to go and stop terror. You notice he didn't say that we're ending the war on terror. So they could just be redirecting where that war on terror goes. And that's pretty scary. So, but you can bet. I mean, you could bet. Look, if they're upping the military budget, and you know how the military industrial complex works, you know how the CIA, the intelligence community works, they don't want to put themselves out of a job, and they don't have any intention whatsoever to put themselves out of a job. So the question is, if we're backing out of Afghanistan, where does good old Joe think we're going to go next? Keep a lookout for that. Definitely want to hear from you, your thoughts, your comments on this. I would love to hear from you. Where do you think we're going to be going next? You can email me, kim@kimiverson.com, to get a hold of me, or you can join my locals community where you can interact with me directly and with others. And that is where you could give your 2 cents. You can even post videos. I got people in my locals community. It's really cool posting videos of their thoughts on things, pictures of themselves. It's a lot of fun. It's a great community. Please join it. The link is down below. That is where you get not only exclusive content from me that you're not getting here, but behind the scenes glimpses of my life. And also you can interact with one another. And that's where I post a lot of interesting information and things that are just kind of quick thoughts, quick snippets. That stuff goes there on local. So that is also where you can interact with me with your thoughts and interact with others with your thoughts. So maybe you got a grand idea and you want more than just me to hear it. That is a great place to do it. So join my locals community. Link is down below.